It is the most closely watched race in the country, a race where McAuliffe is neck and neck with Republican Glenn Youngkin. This despite Biden beating Donald Trump by 10 points last year in the state. It wasn't even close then. Now, Youngkin is also holding a rally right now. Out front now, actress and activist Alyssa Milano. She's also the author of the new book, Sorry, Not Sorry, which just came out today. So, Alyssa, I really appreciate your time. And I know you've been obviously vocal in your support online for McAuliffe. Both candidates are saying that this race is crucial. It's about the direction of the country. In your book, you talked about, you've learned campaigns are not about candidates, obviously, but about voters, which is a really interesting observation. You're a Democrat and a progressive. What do you make of the fact that this race is as close as it is? What message does that send about voters?
Well, actually, polls show that the election is tied, which is incredible. McAuliffe is a former governor. He's got the experience. He's a DNC head. And Youngkin, who, in my opinion, is very Trumpy, but trying to hide that aspect of who he is. So I feel like Virginia is really at a crossroads. And I get it. I know that many people are tired, and I feel like politics is tiring. But as President Obama said the other day in Virginia, we can't afford to be tired. We have to get out there and vote. Also, I have a soft spot in my heart because Virginia was the 38th state to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment. And last Thursday, I testified in front of Congress to lift the poison pill deadline placed on the Equal Rights Amendment. So, yeah, please, Virginia, get out there and vote.
So you talk about that testimony, and you did testify before Congress. You want them to pass, obviously, the legislation to end gender discrimination. This is you here last week. And you've been arrested. You were arrested during a protest outside the White House over the push to protect voting rights. And you write about this in your book and your decision to care so deeply about these things, why you do this, and things that President Biden has promised to stand up for. Here it is.
To make real the full promise of America, we have to protect that fundamental right, the right to vote, the sacred right to vote. I've told my girls and my daughters and my granddaughters not a single thing that a man can do that a woman can't do equally as well. Nothing. And I'll not be satisfied until that's recognized.
So you write about it, and you've also acted on it, right? You've testified. You've been arrested for this cause. Do you believe President Biden is doing enough to make these realities to actually get this legislation passed, or could he be doing more?
So just to clarify, I was arrested actually because, in my opinion, we elected a Democratic government specifically, to get his agenda done, and a progressive agenda done. And in my lifetime, this agenda is the most progressive agenda, and it's what people want. So now we need our government to deliver. And so I was arrested. I took the fight right up to the White House. The Freedom to Vote Act is something that means a lot to this country. The freedom to vote is the bedrock of our nation. States have introduced 425 bills making it harder for people to vote. 13 Republican-led states have passed 33 laws aimed at making it more difficult to vote. And I went to the White House with People for the American Way, and we want Biden, we're demanding of Biden to use all of his power and influence to get past the Freedom to Vote Act, the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, and DC statehood as soon as possible, even if that means getting rid of the filibuster.
And of course, obviously, the president has maybe started to move a little bit on that, but has not as of yet. I want to ask you about one other thing, Alyssa, because I don't know if you heard Rachel, the cinematographer who was on before you came on, but she was just, just her loss and outrage at what happened. We're talking about Helena Hutchins, and who was killed, obviously, when Alec Baldwin discharged that prop firearm. When we were having you on tonight, was thinking about your experience with this. So you found a video of you, movie in 2008, holding a gun in scenes, right? You've been around guns on sets. You've dealt with this. And Rachel Morrison, who I just mentioned, the Oscar-nominated cinematographer, she just told me there's no need to have real guns on set anymore. Do you agree?
I agree, but I also want to refocus this conversation because it's not just about my industry. We need common sense changes to the way we interact with guns across the entire nation. Also, there's almost 1,700 accidental shooting deaths so far this year. That's on pace to have nearly 2,000 by the end of the year. And so, mandating safe storage, trigger locks, and investing in a biometric system for weapons could really reduce all of these accidental shootings. And it's so sad to me that things always have to happen in industry where people are sort of famous to get the country to pay attention. But I want to remind people that children are shot in mass shootings every single year, and it shouldn't be easier to fire your gun than it is to unlock your iPhone.
Well said. All right. Thank you so much, Liz. I appreciate your time. And again, I
I
remind
appreciate
everybody,
you.
Yeah, your new book is out, Sorry, Not Sorry, and it just came out today. Thanks again.